Hello, everybody, and we should be live now. I believe we are. Yes, we are indeed live now. The Montreal Canadiens went into Pittsburgh tonight, finishing up a three-game road trip, I believe. and obviously, they faced the Penguins, and they kind of lost. That's right. I'll just give you a fun fact in the chat or anyone that's watching the replay. Happy Valentine's Day. May your loved ones be considerably gracious by receiving commercial goods on this commercial holiday. Um, but yeah, so the Canadiens lost. It was another 4-1 loss, this time to the Pittsburgh Penguins. Um, I think we can now be considered officially out of the playoff race and probably more or less on a tank for Lafreniere. We're now 10 points out of a playoff spot. The only way we could make the playoffs, I believe now, is if we every single game from here on out, and the teams in front of us start losing a lot of their games. But come on, it's the Canadiens. It's not going to happen. Next year is going to be our year in the playoffs. What up, Harry Reisky? Hey, Rich J, how's it going, brother? Nice to see you in the chat. So, of course, if you are recurring, which if you're returning, then you should know the board. And if you are a new viewer here, I go over the board, the stats on the board, and then I go over the actual game recap. And real quick, I want to point out I'm going to be live after this stream. I'm going to be doing I guess it's a hangout stream. I'm going to be trying and stream the stream probably about 20, 30 minutes after. I just got to finish getting Streamlabs OBS set up and all that goodness. So let's get into the stats for hockey. Tatar still leads the team, 20 goals, 33 assists for 53 points. And if you guys could let me know in the chat how do I sound, how I look, everything, that'd be great. Brendan Gallagher with 20 goals, 20 assists for 40 points. Philippe Deneau, 12 goals, 27 assists, 39 points. He's not gotten a point in, I want to say, 6 or 7 games now. Max Domi, 13 goals, 23 assists, 36 points. I was seeing something online that apparently the Canadiens would be willing to give up Domi to Arizona for Dumba or Brodin. Personally, I can't see that happening. I don't think we're going to resign Domi if he keeps staying as bad as he's been this year. I honestly think he's probably going to get $2.5, $3 million. I do not. I think he's going to take a pay cut, if anything. We are making the playoffs next year, Rich. I agree. Sorry. Nick Suzuki with 11 goals, 25 assists, 36 points. Jeff Petrie, 8 goals, 27 assists, 35 points. Arizona. Yeah, I mean Minnesota. Did I seriously say Arizona? I meant Minnesota because they obviously have Brodin and Dumba. Unless, who knows, maybe there's a trade that sends Dumba and Brodin to Arizona tonight. That happens. I called it. You guys can come here first. Jeff Petrie, 8 goals, 27 assists, 35 points. Shea Weber, who is currently injured, 13 goals, 21 assists, 34 points. I'm sorry. 14 goals, 13 assists, 27 points for Yoel Armia. Arturi Lehkonen, 12 goals, 12 assists, 24 points. I wish he had 34 points. Ilya Kovalchuk, 9 goals, 12 assists for 21 points. Nick Cousins, 8 goals, 12 assists, 20 points straight up. Ben Sherratt, 7 goals, 10 assists, 17 points. Jonathan Drouin, 7 goals, 8 assists, 15 points. 4 straight games now for Drouin without a point since coming back, I should say. Nate Thompson, 3 goals, 10 assists, 13 points. Marco Scandella, 5 goals, 7 assists, 12 points. Victor Mete, 4 goals, 6 assists, 10 points. Jordan Meal, 5 goals, 4 assists, 9 points. Jesperi Kotkaniemi, 6 goals, 2 assists, 8 points. Currently, obviously, in the minors, along with I haven't gotten to him yet. Brent Kulak with 6 assists. Dale Weiss with 1 goal, 3 assists, 4 points. Paul Byron, who is sadly still injured, also with 1 goal, 3 assists, 4 points. Christian Foley and Ryan Paling, each with a goal and an assist. Paling, of course, I believe, has been sent back down. If I remember correctly, has been for about a month now, actually. Xavier Ouellette with 2 assists. Cale Fleury, sadly, also in the minors, 1 assist, along with Udall. And Jake Evans with a goal. So there's that. And, of course, the bottom of the board now, record is 27, 26, and 7 with 61 points. As I mentioned, I put in the description, we are 5th in the Atlantic, 12th now overall in the East, because I believe the Rangers won tonight, so they got a point. And if Buffalo wins, I don't know if they play tonight, but if they win their next game and we lose our next, or if they win their next two and we lose, if they win their next two and we lose tomorrow against the Stars, which we probably will, then that would mean that Buffalo passes us and we are 13th in the Eastern Conference. And I want to say we hit 20th overall in the league. I think. I'm not sure. I got to check that out. Last game is obviously this one. Canadiens 1, Penguins 4. Power play PK. Power play is 29 for 160. P 45 for 181. Home record is still 13, 15, and 4. And our away record is now 14, 11, and 3. So my apologies. All right. My apologies. I had to message a friend real quick. So, of course, we are going to get into the game. Anyone who has any comments or questions, please post them in the chat when you got any, and I'll feel free to answer. So the lineup, surprisingly, no before the game worthy to mention this time. The lineups are Tatar to no Gallagher, Kovalchuk, Suzuki, Armia, Jordan, Domi, Cousins, Lehkonen, Thompson, Evans, and for defense, we have Kulak, Petrie, Sherratt, Mete, Scandella, Ouellette, with Carey Price yet again in net to keep burning him out. So it doesn't really matter. We're not making playoffs, but hey, whatever. Who knows? Maybe you're trying to drive down Price's trade value. See, all you can get is like a third for him. So that way you can at least trade him. Who knows? Maybe I would be all in favor of trading Price still, especially after tonight. The Habs are playing very well. Not very well, but sorry. The Habs were playing well early on, but so were the Penguins. Both teams were getting some shots off, but the Canadiens went to a power play. It was a hooking called on the Penguins. I didn't see who it was. But right off the bat, Brennan Tanev got a really good shorthanded near breakaway because of course the Canadiens' power play sucks. They are able to apply some pressure, but can't convert into a goal, so they're 0 for 1 the power play tonight. Rust hooked the stick of Suzuki on a great chance in front. Probably should have been a penalty, but I personally wouldn't. I wouldn't die on a sword for this one. Armia then got sent flying into Jarry, who was very lucky enough to see Armia and able to jump over him. Who knows? Maybe Price should have done that when was it Emelin tripped Crater? Maybe that should happen. It should have been a tripping call on that play, in my opinion. So I'm somehow in this game starting to realize that this is one of the first games of the season I've seen where the calls have not gone in favor of the Canadiens. And by that, I mean the refs haven't seen them. So it's not even that, the refs saw they just didn't call it. They probably just didn't see it. The Habs got caught a few times with some near close breakaways from the Penguins. The Canadiens were playing decent, but the Pens were playing better. The shots were really not the story of this game in the first. There's a lot of chances that got blocked or didn't make it to Jarry or Price, actually. But heading into the second period, it was a tie game at 0-0, and the shots were 8-6 Penguins. 1.5% drafting first. That's still not bad, Rich, in my opinion. Because honestly, in my opinion, the lower we get 15% drafting top 3. See, that is really good. Because looking at it, I know 15%, that's not a lot. But when you compare it to the other teams in the league, or the other teams that are tanking, 15% drafting top 3, that is really good. In my opinion, honestly, I think if we keep tanking, obviously the percentage, I believe, of us drafting first goes up and drafting top 3, I believe, maybe goes down a little, I think. That sounds a little ass backwards, but I'm not 100% sure. But who knows? Maybe the more the Canadiens tank this year, likelihood of us getting Lafreniere, I would believe the 1.5 drafting first. We have a more likelihood of drafting first overall than making the playoffs, in my opinion. Even though the percentages don't say so, I believe the 1.5 more. So heading into the second, like I said, it's tied 0-0. Shots are 8-6 Penguins. Habs allowed yet another breakaway. Very, very surprised Price is able to stop some of these breakaways, given he's not been that great this year. But Jared McCann gets a very, very nice chance on that breakaway, but he is not able to put it in the back of the net. Still scoreless. The Canadiens were playing better than the Canadiens. It was about 4 or 5 minutes in. I took that note. And speaking of, they went to the power play. Kovalchuk went to the box. Hey, Randy, how's it going, brother? Kovalchuk went to the box for a slashing. And on said power play, the Penguins score. Chris Letang on French Heritage Night, I believe it was. With a really nice shot that Price is getting paid. Really outplaying the Habs, who were headed to the penalty kill once again. Slashing now against Sherratt. An onside power play. The Habs didn't play too well. Didn't play too bad, but they were able to kill it off. So they're 1 for 2 in the PK. And then the Canadiens had a really nice play with about, I want to say it was 8 or so minutes left to keep the puck in the pen zone for, I know it was about 7. Oh, the Penguins played better than the Canadiens. Thank you for that, Randy. I have mush mouth right now. I'm excited for the gaming stream I'm doing later. Hey, Lambot, how's it going, man? But the Canadiens had a nice play. Like I said, they kept in for about a minute or so. They were trying to get some shots off, setting up a play. That's one of the first times I've really seen the Canadiens trying like that, which is really, really nice. And then Zach Aston-Reese went to the box for a phantom tripping call, really. Linebot, how's it going, brother? Yo. But Zach Aston-Reese went for a phantom tripping that really was just Arturi Lehkonen. It was either Lehkonen or Drouin. I think it was Lehkonen. Tripping over, or Cousins. It might have been Lehkonen or Cousins. I mean, tripping over their own sticks, pretty much. My 30th episode. Nice, brother. The Habs went to the power play for the second time tonight, and of course the Canadiens can't score because the power play sucks. Over 2 on the PP tonight. And right after the Habs power play, of course, Crosby helped set up Jason Zucker for his first as a Pittsburgh Penguin. Congratulations to him. 2-0 Penguins. Hornquist went to the box now for slashing. Habs power play. And somehow we scored. Brendan Gallagher tips it in front with his 20th of the year. And we finally scored on the power play. I want to say that's our first in at least 5 or 6 games on the power play. Assist went to Tatar and Mete. It looked originally like Tatar got the puck, but it did end up going to Gallagher, who did tip it in. And they're behind by 1 now, 1 for 3 in the PP tonight. If the Habs don't make the playoffs, how can we keep key pieces of the lineup and improve free agents not wanting to come to Montreal? Keeping key pieces. Kovalchuk would be the best key piece to retain, in my opinion. I think you can keep Kovalchuk, especially since he, I guess, technically revived his career in Montreal, so he'll be gracious, like, hey, yeah, what do you guys want to give me, like 1 mil, 1.5, whatever? Like, yeah, sure, he'll probably take it for a 1 or 2 year deal. Domi, I think, is only going to ask for 2.5 or 3 mil, so if he asks for 2.5, then you can definitely keep him, and you get cap. You also get cap by Steve Mason's cap, obviously coming off from the buyout, and how can we keep key pieces? I mean, Petrie, honestly, in my opinion, I think if you can, Petrie, Kovalchuk I just mentioned. Petrie, in my opinion, I think you could probably sell him off at the deadline if you want to get, say, a first and a decent prospect. As long as maybe, for example, you start talking with someone like, say, a Torrey Krug or Alex Pietrangelo, where it's like, hey, you want to sign with us in the off season or whatnot? Like, what are you gonna do? So it's like, okay, yeah, we can trade Petrie. We'll get in the off season. Tatar, I think, is a guy you can definitely replace on that left wing. I think if you're able to start talking with Taylor Hall, for example, and say, hey, if you'll come to Montreal, we'll offer you, say, $9 million instead of $7.5 million that everyone else is offering, because Montreal, you got to overpay a little bit. But at least in my opinion, I think you could get rid of Tatar. Petrie is number 1 defenseman. Why would you trade away him and have the rest of the D to stay? I don't necessarily see Petrie as the number 1 defenseman. I know Weber isn't really. I honestly could see Cale Fleury being our number one defenseman next year, personally, because from what I saw of him this year, he looked incredibly good. He looked really, really good. He just couldn't get the points, sadly. But keep in mind, Petrie, you can trade Petrie if you can get, say, a Pietrangelo. If you get Pietrangelo for 2 years, if somehow St. Louis doesn't sign him, they're probably going to. But if somehow they don't and you can get him in the offseason, he's immediately our number 1 defenseman, which sucks because then Pietrangelo and Weber are going to retire after next season, more than likely. But even then, Pietrangelo, if it's a 1 year, it's no cap retention. Weber, all the cap goes to Nashville, which I really can't wait for Weber to retire just for the cap reasons. But Gallagher, I think, is the one guy 100% you keep if you're going to retool the team for the next year or two while making the playoffs. Gallagher 100% is the guy you're going to keep until he retires, I think, in my opinion. Do you consider the rest of the D as number 2? Cale Fleury, is why he is down in the AHL? Well, I mean, I think the reason he's down in the AHL is just to give him ice time, really. I mean, I thought he played incredibly well. But like I said, the points, he only had an assist in his call-up. But I think Fleury, the reason we sent him down is because we honestly kind of knew we were going to miss the playoffs. So it was like, hey, instead of playing Cale on the third line, scratching him some nights, let's just send him down to the minors and get him some first-line defensive ice time. Same with Paling and Kotkaniemi. Get them first-line ice time and get them first line ice time in the minors. Get their confidence back. So, yeah. Harry, thank God. Bergevin's the GM, not you. No offense. Hey, Randy, no worries, man. No worries. Honestly, I would probably be a god-awful GM anyways, regardless. I mean, I'm not saying I personally would trade Petrie, but if they want to trade Petrie, if they want to retool the team and go the free agency route, then they can trade Petrie. Personally, I would not trade Petrie. I wouldn't trade Petrie. I wouldn't trade Kovalchuk unless, for example, you say trade with, let's just say the Bruins for some reason. Say you trade for the Bruins, say Kovalchuk for a second. If it becomes a first or it becomes 2 firsts, if for some reason you want, if Kovalchuk resigns. So, it's like Bruins are like, we don't want to give 2 firsts to these guys, If they wouldn't do it, but let's just say. Tatar, I would probably trade away, definitely, like I said. If you do want to try and go the Taylor Hall route to get a superstar, which, come on, our superstar is obviously Nick Suzuki. Our superstar will be Nick Suzuki. It's sad you not make the playoffs. Sorry about your team. Sorry about your team. Are we friend? Yeah, we're absolutely friends, James. If you think Fleury is number 2 defenseman, that means Bergie thinks he is a number 7 defenseman. Not necessarily, because looking at it, Zach Bogosian personally, or for example, Zach Bogosian in Buffalo right now, he I think could be a bottom 3, maybe top 4 defenseman. When he's playing very, very good, in my opinion. I think Bogosian has those nights where he can play very well. It's just his cap is really, really keeping him off the Buffalo team right now. Obviously, difference is Fleury's on an ELC, but like I said, Fleury, in my opinion, is the second best defenseman. Maybe third if Weber has his nights and Fleury's off some nights. Weber can be our number 2 defenseman. But Cale Fleury, I think, like I said, I think it's more or less Bergevin not thinking he's a number 7 defenseman and more so thinking he just needs ice time in the minors, really. I think he really just needed ice time in the minors, gain back confidence. He'll be up next year. Him and Romanov are going to be up next year. 19 games in the lineup this year for Zach. Yeah, 19 games in the lineup. What do you have, like a goal and assist or something like that? But see, because looking at it, if you do want to get younger, if the Canadiens want to get younger, look at the current team they have. Tatar, 28, 29. He's going to be a UFA next summer. If anything, if you for some reason want to get rid of him, you could probably get a first if you find the right team. A first, maybe a decent prospect if you're going off of what Zucker is worth. If you're going off what Zucker is worth, you can get at least a first and a decent prospect. Who knows? Maybe even a first, 2 really good prospects and a roster player if considering Zucker was playing 4th line in the last game with Minnesota, sorry, and Tatar's still on our first line, but we obviously know they're not going to get that for it. Maybe a first and a good prospect. Hi, you're strong to talk about. Hey, let's talk. How's it going, man? You're strong to talk about the game. You're strong to talk about the game. I just want the season to be over. Let's hockey. Thank you very much. I appreciate it, brother. I appreciate it. I believe me, I want the season to be over as well. I want us to just draft Lafreniere and go all out in free agency as well. Stop getting rid of our top points getters. I want to bottom out. No, Randy, what you're doing, what you can do, if you trade Tatar, you can potentially turn him into Taylor Hall. I'm not saying go out and trade Tatar your first next year, for example, for Taylor Hall. That's just stupid. You trade Tatar for, say, a first rounder to who's a team in the West that needs to make the playoffs or that wants to make the playoffs. Let's say Winnipeg. Obviously, they want defense, but let's just say Winnipeg wants Tatar. They give up a first and a decent prospect. Who knows? Maybe a bottom 6 forward if for some reason you want that. A young bottom 6 forward, and maybe a decent prospect. If we're going off what Zucker is worth, like I said, you could potentially turn that into Hall because Tatar's cap I believe is 4.5 or 5 million, something like that, for the next 2 seasons, this season and next season. If you get rid of that 5 mil cap hit right now, I believe you would have the Canadiens would have like 18 million in cap. I think if you say you just get rid of Tatar, say for a first and 2 seconds, let's just say, and you don't get anything back. that 18 million plus the 1.8, I think it is, that Steve Mason's getting bought out, that's going to be off next year. That's nearly $20 million in cap. If you find a trade to get rid of Petrie, I believe he's making $4 million a year, so that's $24 million. You could turn Tatar and Petrie, if you wanted to trade those guys for, say, first rounders. That means you could potentially get 4 first rounders. Three. Yeah, we don't have two first rounders. I thought we had 2 for some reason. We have 3 first rounders. Ironically, also the amount of viewers I have in chat. But you see, if you get 3 first rounders, this draft is incredibly strong. So those 3 first rounders, no matter where they are, they're very good. They're going to turn into hopefully very good NHLers. But you could turn Tatar and Petrie not only into some first round picks and some decent prospects if you also want those. Tatar could turn to Hall if he wants to come to Montreal. Yeah, you might have to overpay him a little bit, but if you can get Taylor Hall, Petrie, you could turn into a Krug, a Pietrangelo, someone who is on the market like that. And plus, if you get rid of Weber's cap hit, say you get a second, because he's probably not going to be worth that much anyway, especially with the foot injury he just suffered. If you get rid of Weber for, say, a second, you're getting rid of $7.5 million. That's nearly $30 million in cap you have right there. And if you want to go out and, say, trade one of the first rounders at the draft for, say, who's a good middle six, say Jesse Puljujarvi. Say you trade a second rounder actually for Jesse Puljujarvi. He wants top 6 minutes. He could potentially get those top 6 minutes in Montreal if he plays very, very well. And even Josh Hosang, he could be a potentially good bottom 3 guy probably for the Canadiens if you want to trade him for, say a 5th or 6th or something like that. Or maybe, let's just say, and Scandella. Scandella's going to be off the books this year. We're not going to re-sign Scandella. So that's almost $36 million in cap right there. Thompson probably is going to retire, so that's $37. Kovalchuk, you bring him back, he's going to take up $2 million. Domi probably $3 million. So you're losing 5 right there. Just signing some very key guys, in my opinion. I don't think any of these guys are coming off the books this year. I don't think so. I think Mete actually might be. So he might take $1.5 million, $2 million or so. So like I said, you can turn Tatar, Petrie, Scandella if you want to trade him at the trade deadline, for example, for a 3rd if you want, or 4th or whatever. You can do that. Turn the $12 million you have in cap right now into potentially $36 million at the free agency. Go after your Hall. Go after your Pietrangelo. Go after your Krug. Go after your not Jacob Markstrom because he's going to resign more than likely. Go after your Braden Holtby if you want to. Go after your key free agents that can turn this team from, okay, we thought we'd make the playoffs, but we didn't, to, oh yeah, we are going to make the playoffs this year. We're going to dominate everyone. You can do that. We have friend James Berry, SBR. Linebot, how's it going, brother? You all right? Thank you, Let's Hockey. No. If the ZHSBD don't change Trevor Timmons, the draft will never be good for the Canadiens. What are you talking about? Suzuki was a trade with Vegas, yes, but he was drafted in that first round. Gallagher was a 5th round pick, I think, for us. 4th or 5th pick round for us. Mete was, I think, a 5th rounder, I think. Jake Evans is a 7th rounder in the NHL right now. Cale Fleury was drafted by us. Ryan Poehling. Cole Caulfield. Yes, Jesperi Kotkaniemi was taken too high for where he should have gone. But still, he's been in the NHL. Who else was drafted by us? I think that's all in the current roster. Arturi Lehkonen. He was the 3rd round pick, I think. So the draft has been good for the Canadian years. You just don't want to see it, I don't think. Danault was acquired in a trade to get rid of Dale Weiss and Thomas Fleischmann. Who do we get back? Like I said, Danault and a 2nd rounder that became who? Alexander Romanov, who is going to be on the NHL roster next year. Tatar, acquired in a trade to also get Suzuki and a 2nd rounder. I don't remember who that became. Yoel Armia was acquired in a trade to send out fucking Stephen Bork, or whatever his name is, Mr. Bork. Yeah, we had to eat Steve Mason's contract, but still, we bought him out. It was only 1.8, and it comes off the books this year in exchange for a 27, probably a 30, 40-point scoring Yoel Armia, in my opinion. We've had about $8 million cap space in the last 3 years, and we did squat that. Yeah, exactly, because we've only had $8 million. Looking at it, we have $12 million. We're going to have $14 million 100% because the Steve Mason contract comes off, like I said. Scandella, he's not going to resign in Montreal. Absolutely not. That's $18 million in cap. If Kovalchuk doesn't resign, that's say $19 million. Dale Weiss, he's definitely not going to return. That's $21 million actually. And if he does return, he's going to take entry level and be in the minors more than likely. If you can find a trade for Carl Alsner, I believe that takes off $2 million because I think bearing it only takes off half. I think I'm not sure how that works. But and you find trades for these guys like Tatar and Petrie. If you want to trade those guys, get some first rounders. But you can't go after those key guys, those superstar level guys, even those great guys who are worth say $4, $5, $6 million. This year could be the year the Canadiens finally do something good in the free agency, and that they actually they finally go after, say, a Hall, a Holtby. They went after Sebastian Aho last year, of course, as we all remember. So actually, yeah, you can't even say in the past 3 years they did squat. Last year they tried to go after Sebastian Aho. I know everybody can say, oh, yeah, the Hurricanes matched it. Yeah. Oh, it's a conspiracy with Marc Bergevin and what's his name? I forget who. Oh, just to get Aho a smaller contract. Like, no. The Canadiens went against the gentleman code and offer sheeted. We still tried. We might have missed, but we still tried. We offer sheeted Aho. He signed it. He would have been a Canadian if the Carolina Hurricanes didn't have enough cap. And you see, we didn't want to get rid of a set of 2 first rounders. Why? Because it would have taken last year's and this year's. Bergevin is smart. He knows, we're going to get 2 first rounders out of Sebastian Aho. You know what? Yeah, we'll sign. We'll let him go to Montreal. No, because the draft's in Montreal this year, one of the most stacked drafts. The Canadiens need a first round pick, so they offered him as much as they could without having to sacrifice a pick this year for one of the most stacked drafts ever. Harry, I missed it. Did you answer my question? Which one? Which one, Randy? Because you've had it quite a while. Quite a few, sorry. But yeah, you can try and go all out this year if you want. All out in free agency. Because imagine, if you can sign Taylor Hall and he gets, say, 70, 80 points, maybe even 90, he's going to be your leading point scorer. He's going to be playing on the line with Gallagher and Deneau, unless you want to go after a free agent, a centerman. But even then, Suzuki, in my opinion, Suzuki can play first-line center next year at 10:06. Which one? 10:06. In Discord? No, it's not in Discord. Which one is yours in 10:06? Because it doesn't tell me the times for some reason. I don't get why it doesn't, but for some reason it doesn't. But yeah, I'm gonna get back into the game for just a minute while you answer that. I will obviously get back to drafting questions and whatnot. So out in front, Jason Zucker ends up scoring again. It's his second of the game, makes it 3-1. 3 goals in just under a minute right there, and it's 3-1 Penguins. Price has been awful tonight. Zucker, congratulations to him. He's officially point per game and goal per game with the Pittsburgh Penguins. Like I said, congrats to him. Always liked Jason Zucker. Good for him. And that's going to do it for the second. It's 3-1 Penguins, and shots are 2017 Penguins. $8 million cap each of the last 3 years, and Bergie did squat. Yeah, he did, because it's only $8 million cap. What can you do with $8 million in cap in free agency? Yes, you can try and trade off players, but I mean, who's going to eat a Weber contract while giving up, say, a first, 2 firsts or whatever? You're gonna have to undertake, say, a 4th rounder for Weber. It's not going to go that low, but let's just say, you can't make a trade for someone when it's like, okay, yeah, they're doing this just to sign this guy, or they're doing this to get that guy when we can just go after that guy. Like we wanted to go after Tavares. We wanted to go after Tavares. Tavares said no to Montreal. If he hadn't said no to Montreal, we would have been right there in competition with the Maple Leafs for Tavares. He obviously probably would have chose Toronto either way, but still. We've tried going after these free agents. We were speculatory about getting Marner last year. Get a $7 million player? No, you don't get a $7 million player. Why? Because then you're stuck with $1 million in cap. And what happens if, say, let's just say, out of out of this core, let's just say, Mete. Say Mete gets hurt. Who do you call up in relief for Mete? You might have to call someone up who's, say, 1.5 million, let's just say. And then what happens? You got to become a Vancouver or a Washington a few years ago. We're constantly trying to get fit under the cap. We're out under by 30,000, 60,000, where you're just under by 100,000 or whatever, trying to scramble your lineups, and then you're not good. Yet you're talking about getting rid of Domi and the other free agents and opening more cap. No use if no free agents come. But that's why you shop around. That's why if you can't get free agents, you go to Domi and say, "Hey, would you be open to a trade? We want to try and get let's just say the rumors are true. They're going to Domi. Hey, would you mind going to Minnesota? We want to try and acquire a Jonas Brodin or a Matt Dumba, and maybe you can do that instead of trying to trade Domi. Just say for a first for cap dump, you take on something like a Dumba." Petrie and Tatar, I think, are two cases where you can get rid of them without hurting the team, because if you can't get a Hall and, say, a Pietrangelo, who are probably going to take up 15, 20 million in cap just alone by them, unless Pietrangelo only signs a 1 or 2 year. Bergie shopping since his tenure as GM. Bergie shopping. Yeah, of course he's shopping around because he wants to get rid of contracts that are really bad, like Scandella, like Weiss. And even then, he wants to try and get rid of players like Tatar and Petrie, who he just recently took off the block, which he probably should put back on, given the Canadiens are officially out of a playoff spot. But looking at it, he's shopping these guys around to see what the market is for them. He wants to know what these guys could be worth. And Domi's a guy I personally wouldn't want to get rid of unless I know what he's offering. If he wants, like I think NHL 20 has him wanting $7 million a year. If he actually wants that in real life, which obviously it's a game, can't predict, but if somehow he wants $7 million, trade him off. He's not worth $7 million. If he wants, say, $2 to $4 million, more or less worth it in a way. Even though he's an RFA, you can be like, hey, you're going to take $3 million or whatever. But you see, the two guys, in my opinion, that I think are really holding the Canadiens back, aside from obviously like Scandella and Weiss, because those guys are coming off the books this year. They're not going to come back, more than likely. God, Montreal, please don't bring back Dale Weiss. Weber and Price, like I said, those two guys combined take up $17.5 million, maybe even 18, because I think Weber is 7.5 as well. So actually, those two guys take up $18 million in cap, just them, like I said. Just Weber and Price, $18 million. You find a trade for Weber and for Price, you're getting rid of Price, who's a mediocre goaltender at best this year, who's not been playing worth anywhere near his $10.5 million worth his contract, just like Bobrovsky isn't playing anywhere near his $10 million right now. The only difference is Price is 2 years into his contract and Bobrovsky's in his first year. So Price, step up, brother. But Price, if you can find a good trade for him, like say, for example, somehow, like I was suggesting earlier in the season, trading Price for Fleury. I think Fleury is getting paid $6 million. You're gaining $4 million in cap and getting a much better goaltender. Plus, looking at it, Fleury probably has two or so more years in him, 2, maybe 3. And by the end of his contract, I believe it expires in 2 years, or 3 seasons technically, because this season, next season, the season after. So 3 years, we'll just go and say. After 3 years, when his contract expires and when he probably retires, then who's your starter? Caden Primo. Caden Primo should, more than likely, be ready to take the starter's position in Montreal. And I mean, hey, even if you want to risk it, maybe, perhaps, if one of those first rounders that you could trade for a Tatar, for a Petrie, for a Weber, for a Price, if someone wants that, you can potentially go after Askarov. If you want to pull another Price and Halak and have two fantastic goaltenders in net in, say, five or so years, go after Askarov, build them both together, and then bring them up. Fleury can transition into Primo, who in turn technically would transition into Askarov. You play them 40 games a year. Boom, there's your starting goalie tandem. If Askarov doesn't turn out to be the, not franchise, but the really, really good goaltender he's supposed to be, and he's really good. He can be a starter in some franchises, but most of the places he'll probably be backup. Then Montreal would be perfect. If you have Primo as your starter, you can have Askarov as your backup. No Fleury. Why no Fleury? Fleury plays best in the playoffs. Yes, I agree with that. But he can play damn well in the regular season as well. The only reason he's not playing the best in Vegas right now this year is because of the defense. They have decent defense. I believe Theodore is on their top line. Theodore and Schmidt. Shan? No, I don't think they have Luke Shen. I'm no GM, but you would drive the Canadiens for the first pick. I'm no GM, but you would drive the Canadiens for the first pick in a few years, making the Habs left. No, really? So you're trying to tell me if I trade guys like Tatar and Petrie for first-round picks, if I'm able to get a first-round pick out of Tatar, Petrie, and then trade Weber and Price for more first-round picks, to get first-round picks for those guys, you're saying I'd be driving this team for first overall in a few years when in the offseason you'd be able to potentially get Hall, get a Pietrangelo, get a Krug if you want, trade Price for Fleury and a first if you want, for example, or maybe if the trade a second or two, old goalie for another old goalie. Difference is Fleury is actually good and worth his contract. Yeah, he's maybe overpaid by $500,000, but I mean, come on. His contract's only 2 more years. Price is 7 more years. Price's contract is going to be garbage in 3-4 years when he's not playing well at all. And the Habs, if anything, would get a 7th round pick for Price. If anything, future considerations. I mean, hell, who knows? Maybe Ottawa would be dumb enough to trade both their first round picks for Carey Price because they know in the future, oh hey, these guys are going to ask $9 million each. Yeah, let's just get rid of them. $18 million we're trading for 10. But aside from Eugene Melnyk, I'm not driving the team to the bottom because looking at it, who's your future? You got Suzuki right here, arguably Armia, who could be technically a veteran. You're going to have Cousins, who is a good bottom 6 guy, in my opinion. Mete, who can be a very, very good top 4 defenseman, in my opinion. Kotkaniemi, who's going to be a good third-line center for you. Paling, who's going to be a good fourth-line center for you, maybe third. Hey, James Berry, how's it going, brother? Fleury, who's going to be a great top 2 defenseman. Romanoff, who's even in the minors, he's going to be a great top 2 defenseman as well. You can even rotate some nights with Fleury and Paling, Fleury and Romanoff some nights. Evans is going to be a fantastic second line center for you. Cole Caulfield, he's going to be a fantastic starting first line center. And then, of course, you're going to have Gallagher on the wing for now. Dano, even you could trade away in 3 to 4 years when you're going to have all these young guys like, okay, yeah, Dano, you're starting to push down the line. We can trade you away. You're going to have Domi probably on the left wing or right wing. I think he can play all 3, actually. Lehkonen even could be a good bottom 3 guy. If you think about it, if you have 3 first-round picks, and if they were good, and 3 years after their ELCs are up, then you're looking at give them Marner Matthews type money, 10 mil plus. Not necessarily, because if, say, somehow Montreal trades, say, Tatar and Petrie for 2 first-round picks, and say all 3 picks are somehow teams out of the playoffs, Montreal obviously going to be out of the playoffs, and somehow, by some chance of luck, Montreal gets all first 3 picks, 1, 2, and 3, and we draft Lafreniere, Byfield, and I forget who's supposed to go 3rd overall. When their ELCs are up, you're not giving them $10+ million. Lafreniere could probably ask for that. Byfield, who could very well be potentially first-line center in the NHL, more than likely is going to command maybe $7 million. So $17 million, and then whoever you're going to get 3rd overall, which personally I wouldn't go off the board and draft Askarov. I would probably draft a defenseman because I believe the highest defenseman is supposed to go 5th. So if you can draft him at 3rd, for example, he could probably command 5 or 6. So you're going to save $3 to $4 million per guy, more than likely. So you're going to have $7 million. Plus, keep in mind, you're not going to be in a Toronto position. Teams are going to want to trade with you. Players are going to want to come to Montreal because they're seeing, oh, God, look, they got all these great young guys and some veterans mixed in. Kovalchuk, if he's 6 for 2 more years. Thompson, if he's 6 for another year or 2. By then, Gallagher is going to probably be considered a veteran. Byron, if we keep him, which, oh, God, I really don't want to keep Byron. Please trade him. Then you're going to have a lot of young guys with probably some veterans, like a maybe Spezza, like a Spezza-type player. Obviously not Spezza himself because he's probably going to retire after next season. I never said the first 3 overall. I meant 3 in the first round. Stop doing. No, but I'm just saying. because top three, those are the best guys you could potentially draft if you're going by top three are always the best. Then you're going to get those. But even then, 3 in the first round. Say Montreal's pick is, let's just say 5th overall. Say it bumps up pretty well. And then the other 2 picks are, say, 17th and 23rd. 5th overall pick, probably worth $6-7 million after their ELC if they're really good. Those other 2 guys, probably 3 or 4. And then if they're really, really good still, then once those contracts are up, 7 or 8. Because the cap's going to keep going up more than likely. Slowly but surely, yes. But still, the cap will go up. So I'm not saying necessarily that the Canadiens are going to screw themselves by getting some 3 third-round picks. They're going to do well, I think, if they follow my plan, which honestly they probably shouldn't, but because I'm not a pro GM or anything. Low on battery, see you tomorrow. Go have to go. Randy M, thank you for the conversation, brother. Appreciate it. See you tomorrow. Hope you charge your battery well. With your friend James Berry, hell yeah, we're friends for sure. I'm going to get back into the game now. So, yeah, that was a very fun conversation, in my opinion. But, yeah, like I said, that did it for the second period. It was 3-1 Penguins. Shots were 2017 Penguins as well. Early on, Zucker got a great chance for the hat trick, but the puck just bounced over his stick. He couldn't get all of it. He failed on the shot, I think, actually. And the Pens were really outplaying the Canadiens about 5 minutes into the third period. Gallagher got robbed big time by Jarry to make it 3-2. And then Jarry robbed Cousins with a massive save that could have potentially tied the game up if Gallagher's goal also went in. The Habs really couldn't stay on the puck after that. The Penguins were really taking the puck, and the Canadiens were really giving it up a lot. It seemed like they were just trying to run the clock and continue their tankathon. You watched the game? Yes, obviously, James. I did watch the Canadiens game. Jarry kept being amazing. It easily could have been a 5-3, 6-3 game if Murray was in net. And it was another Pens power play. Tatar went to the box for a tripping call. I believe that was 2 penalties tonight then after that Tatar penalty, where the Canadiens took 2 penalties in the offensive zone. The offensive zone, taking 2 penalties like that is never good. And I really hope Tatar's not back to where he was at the beginning of the season, taking like 2 to 3 penalties a game in the offensive zone. Really bad ones to take. Just, nah. An onside power play, the Penguins played very well, but surprisingly, weren't able to put it in the back of the net again. The Habs were now 2 for 3 on the PK, and little did we know that was the last time they would go shorthanded or on the penalty kill or the power play, for the rest of the game. Domi and Kovalchuk combined, but they were not able to put it away. Kovalchuk hit the bar, and the Habs pulled Price with 2:40 left in the game. I put no way we're scoring twice in 2 minutes on the Penguins and a red-hot Jarry. And I was right because the Penguins would put home the empty netter. It was Aston-Reese making a 4-1 Penguins to shut down the Canadiens as they continue their tank for Lafreniere. And that did it. The Penguins won 4-1, and the shots were 35-28 Canadiens, 1 for 3 in the PK, and 2 for 3 in the PK. 1 for 3 in the power play, and 2 for 3 in the PK. Don't be sad for your team. Hey, I'm not, man. If anything, I'm happy because the more we tank, the more of a chance we got for Lafreniere, brother. Obviously, we're not gonna be like Detroit, where we're only gonna have 61 points for the rest of the season and just lose every single game. Because even if we do, most we can probably draft, I think, would be 4th overall. I'm here for you. Hey, thank you, James. Appreciate it, brother. But yeah, guys, I'm actually probably gonna get out of here. I do want to prepare for the gaming stream, which I will probably do in about 30 minutes after I leave. If it doesn't go well, then it'll just be a 5-minute stream, probably just to test, and I know for sure. Okay, I can't do gaming streams. I'll have to do gaming videos only. And if it works, then hell yeah, it'll be fun. I could probably do some gaming streams in the future. So, of course, I will move this off to the side and get ready. So, yeah, guys, that is going to do it. Thank you guys so much for watching. Do not forget to like, comment, subscribe, favorite channels, exclusive was not limited to YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Tumblr, and everything else. My name is Harry. Subscribe to Puff Club, subscribe to HC Club, subscribe to SubHub. If you're a moderator in the chat, like my good friends Randy N and James Berry, you are a member of the mod squad. My team plays tomorrow. Nice. I did see that. That's going to be a very, very exciting game, I'm pretty sure, James. Links in the description on my Twitter and my Twitch. My Twitter is currently suspended. I really don't know if I want to get it back. I haven't used it much at all in the last week before it got suspended. My Twitch is in the description, which, funny enough, I'm actually not going to use to stream. I'm going to be using my YouTube just because my friend, who actually is the one I helped, or who helped me with my Twitch, is out and currently busy, so I won't be able to get the code, which would be sent to her phone or whatever. But yeah, my Twitch is in the description. I might try streaming there eventually once I stream on YouTube and with Streamlabs OBS and find out if everything works well or not. And of course, Letterbox the Amazon wishlist and the PO box are in the description. And if you want to send me anything, it's greatly appreciated. That's what they're there for the most part, whether it's a letter, package, or anything. It's greatly appreciated, like I said. I will do a video unboxing whatever it is, and eventually I do want to start doing Monday Night Mail, or M&M for short. I definitely do hope to do that in the future. And of course, the Letterbox is also in the description. That's where I rate and review movies. Very rarely I'll actually review them. I most of the time just rate them. So check it out if you want to know movies I love, unless you'd rather check out the video I made for Christmas Day, which may or may not be in the top 100 favorite movies of all time of 2019. And check it out if you want to know movies I hate, which I might do a video on that in the future. I can definitely think about doing that. Thank you guys so much for watching. My name is Harris. I should be back within half an hour to 45 minutes, depending on if I'm able to set everything up properly. Thank you guys so much for watching. Like I said, my name is Harris, and I am out. Peace.